Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. It is Friday, December 13th. Friday the 13th. I hope it's a lucky day for you. We are getting towards the end of the year, and it's now time to do one of two things while we're waiting for our guest to show up. One is keep going. There's business that you can close. Contact everybody who you spoke with during the year who said they wanted to think it over. Contact old clients, contact current clients, and touch base with them and keep prospecting. The other thing you can do is relax into the end of the year. And if you're going to do that, I suggest it's a great time to get organized, clean out your inbox, set up some folders. If you're still like me and use some paper files, organize those too. There's all kind of things you can do to set yourself up for 2025. And one of those is certainly set your goals. Take some time, put it on your calendar right now, an hour or two between now and the end of the year to focus on your written goals, your specific written goals for 2025, and create a plan to achieve them. That way, when January 2nd rolls around, you're good to go. And I'm now going to bring up our guest. There he is. I'm going to read some of his introduction. Today's guest says, I don't just play the game of marketing and branding, I rewrite its rules. He's known as Kelly's dad. He's known as the author of the bestseller Uncopyable. He's given a TED Talk, not some TEDx talk. He's done the real deal. He also says he's a bad golfer and the third funniest person in his family. And coincidentally, his wife is Kay Miller, also known as the Muffler Mama and author of Uncopyable Sales Secrets, who we interviewed for the show, I think about a year and a half ago. And reading the reviews on his website, you can only go, holy crap, because when he has reviews like this, Steve's help resulted in a year-over-year increase of over 1,879%. That ain't chicken shit, my friends. That's some good stuff. So please welcome today's guest, Steve Miller. Good morning, Steve.
Yeah. I when they sent that to me, I said, you must have gotten the decimal wrong. So
that's a nice increase, and I think everybody here would love to get those type of numbers, but any increase is a good increase. So let's start out, Steve, with you maybe telling us a little bit about your background. Give us the 2 to 3 minute version of your background that brought you up to now.
Well, okay, very quickly. I am a marketing and branding specialist. That's what I am. I developed that over the years. My original goal in life was to be a professional golfer and play on the PGA Golf Tour. I got so far as to sort of being on the PGA Golf Tour, but there's a real odd thing about that. The way you succeed is by winning money. And apparently I did not win enough money to stick around. So I had to find something else to do. And a friend of mine helped me get into sales out on the West Coast outside of LA. And from there, it wasn't just sales that I really enjoyed. I got connected with a company called Shinsei, which was a Japanese company. I became very enamored by marketing. And so in the year that the Cabbage Patch doll was the number one girls doll, we actually had the number one boys toy that year, which was a radio control Honda ATC, and it was pretty indestructible. And so that just it just sold me on being in that world. And from there, I actually had people kind of say, "Gee, how do you do this marketing stuff that you're doing? You seem like you're doing it a little bit differently. Help us do it." And bang, a consultant speaker was born.
Gotcha. And by the way, Steve, you have to be as old as we are to remember Cabbage Patch dolls.
No.
Half the audience just went, what's he talking about? But that's okay. So Steve, let's start with this. What exactly is a personal brand?
Well, branding is basically, the idea of knowing, say, a company and who they are and what they represent and stuff like that. Well, personal branding is just that. It's just bringing it right down to where you as a person, and we're mainly talking to salespeople here, and the thing that I teach salespeople, and of course, my wife Kay, who is is a real sales rock star. When we're telling salespeople, we're talking to them, we're saying, hey, look, you have to be, don't try to be the best salesperson. It's all well and good to be great, at sales, learning all the how-tos and that type of stuff. But you also have to be different. And the reason why you have to be different is that people are not always going to remember you. We've all heard the note: people do business with people they know, they do business with people that they like, and they do business with people that they trust. And yeah, all three of those are critically important, trust being the most important of all. But you know what? If they don't remember you, it's the way I describe it is I say, hey, when that lightning bolt comes out of the sky, strikes that prospect in the middle of the head, do they, and that prospect says, hey, I'm ready to make a decision. I'm ready to place that order. Okay. Do they think of you first? Do they think of you second? Do they even think of you at all? And what a personal brand is supposed to do is you are the only one they think about. So if you do it right, then they just go, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go with Jeff. No question about it.
Yeah, that's what I say should be a goal for every salesperson. How do you get to that point? I call that trusted advisor. Sales, there's some steps to the sales continuum, and at the very lowest rung is a sales representative, and then you move up. And when you're a trusted advisor, you're exactly right. You're the first person they call, even if it's for something that you don't offer. You're somebody that they trust you so implicitly that if they need an accountant, they're going to, hey, do you happen to know a great accountant? Because you've got that relationship with them. And
yeah, that's so exactly right. A perfect example, Jeff, is they think about you for other stuff too, right? And it be on the, I call it on the mind of the prospect when the prospect is ready to buy. And it doesn't matter whether they might be thinking of something else, and they go, oh, I'm going to call Jeff because he might know somebody. Right. And, now you become this trusted advisor, helpful, trusted advisor. And they think about you over and over and over again, which is really, really important.
Great. And I'm sure you have some great stuff to tell us about how to do that. One of the ways I always tell people is you got to stay in touch. You don't just call prospects or clients when it's time to renew a contract or it's time to sign the contract. You've got to stay in touch. But I want to ask you this. You describe yourself as a marketing gunslinger. What's a marketing gunslinger?
Well, okay, you just said something very interesting, and let's tag on that. Okay, you said they got to stay in touch, or Kay talks about next generation follow up and that type of stuff. The follow up, most salespeople are terrible at follow up, and you got to stay in touch. And you and I and Kay, we all keep telling people, hey, just because you don't have anything to sell them right now doesn't mean you shouldn't be staying in touch with them, right? But we put it a little bit past, farther than just stay in touch. We say you got to stay in touch uniquely. You got to stay in touch in a way that it embeds in their brain about you, who you are, why they should continue to think about you. So when you stay in touch with them, it's not just an email. Hi, how you doing? And especially the new AI emails. Oh, I hope this email finds you doing well. All right. I'll tell you what, if I read that, I know an AI wrote it, so, that same type of stuff we look for ways to be uniquely connected in the world today of online. Everybody's online. Everybody's sending a million emails. Everybody's trying to figure out how to separate themselves from the crowd. One thing that people do every single day that they've done for 100 years, I don't know, more than 100 years, they go to their mailbox. They go to their real physical mailbox and they open it up, and it's not nearly as crowded as it used to be, but they go every single day. So what do? We send postcards to people. We get custom postcards designed. Here's an absolute killer idea that when I first learned it, I fought it. I was a dumbass, salesperson, and my boss would take me around the world, and he would have me take a picture of him with every one of our customers, our prospects, everything like that. I said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Why do you want me to keep doing that? Right. And when we got back, he had every one of those developed, framed, and he sent them out to everybody. Right. Oh, yes. Next time I made a trip around the world to go visit everybody, I would say 90% of those people had those pictures hanging up on the wall. Okay. So, and now with greeting cards, what we find is that if we get a picture with somebody and we put it on a greeting card, we say, hey, just want to make sure that we're still on your mind. Right. And well, let's see. Did you happen to find one there? Look at that.
So that's a picture of my dog, Duke. And this was sent to me by somebody who wanted to sell. I was working with a woman who uses send out cards. I was evaluating it for a client.
That's what we use. We use send out cards.
So she must have gone on Facebook and saw a picture of my dog, and that's what was sent to me. There's no way I will ever forget this woman.
You were able to pick that card up right when I started talking about it.
Steve, it's been sitting on my bulletin board for 5 years now.
Yeah, we will have cards. I don't need it. I mean, you got an example right there. I mean, holy cow! See how good is that?
Exactly right. And I got to tell you, Steve, for the last 12 months, I can't tell you how many times I've given people the advice that you just gave. Nobody uses direct mail anymore. Send direct mail. I can't answer every email I get. I get between 250 and 400 emails every single day. Cannot possibly respond to all of them. Most of them are BS anyways, but I still open every piece of mail that comes to my office or my home.
Every single one.
Every single one. Even if I know it's just it's a credit card or something like, I still open it because you never know what's in there.
That's right.
And you can do what the other guy won't do.
And you can go to different levels of this. Okay, the greeting cards. It's unbelievable how powerful those personal greeting cards are. We've been using send out cards ourselves probably for 20 years, and we every week we're sending out cards to people for one reason or another. Every single one is personalized to that person. Okay. And they all work. They all work. Yeah. You can go to different levels of this. I mean, if you're really out there looking to make an impression on people, you got, this thing. I haven't even opened this yet. Somebody sent this to us. Okay. This is an orange box. Everything we send goes out in orange. Right? We send out, it doesn't matter, envelope, boxes, or anything like that. This is a shock and awe box. We know that something inside, we teach clients about that. When we want to send copies of our books, we will send books. We will send fun stuff inside, that's orange. If we know people, have, our glasses. Okay. We have sunglasses, for people, and we send this stuff out. If we want to make a huge impression on somebody, then we will put together a shock and awe package and send it out to them. And there's a story about one of our shock and awe packages. I think you're going to even ask me this question, so I'm just going to save that for that.
Fair enough. Here's another one that people don't do anymore, which I think is stupid and an easy way to stand out. We all know that after you meet with a prospect or you get a deal or whatever, it's appropriate to send a thank you note. Most people use email. Handwritten thank you note. Write out the card in your own handwriting. Write the address in your own handwriting. Put a real stamp on it, not something that looks like it went through a machine. It's more personal, but nobody does that anymore. When I started out in sales 50 years ago, you had to. Everybody got a handwritten thank you note.
My pile of cards is down there. We have, I got a picture of a whole bunch of black umbrellas, and in the middle of it is an orange umbrella, and it's blank, and then I can write a note, Jeff, what a pleasure it was to talk with you today, blah, 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 and it's gone. And this stuff is not rocket science, folks, but it's very unusual right now.
Steve, I say that all the time. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be in sales. You just need half a brain, but you better use that half a brain. And I want to know what inspired you to create the concept of Uncopyable, and how can salespeople and businesses apply it to stand out in today's extremely competitive marketplace?
Well, bottom line is what I said earlier is that people don't do business with you because you're similar to the competition. All right. And what we can also add to that is that in today's world and today's technology, everything is commoditized. If it's a product, it's commoditized. Don't tell me that your product is different. Oh, okay, it's yellow. All right. So, big deal. Right. But, they don't buy from you because you're similar to the competition, and they don't necessarily buy from you because you're best. They buy from you because you have something different to offer. and they're like going, what makes you different? What do you do for us that makes you different? And for many years I used that term, be different, be different, be different. And even I knew in my brain, I thought I have to find another word, because that's easy to say, right? And then just kind of out of the blue, I don't know where it came from, Jeff, but out of the blue, many years ago, the word uncopyable popped up. And as soon as it popped up, I knew, okay, that's it, right? And ever since then, our website right now is beuncopyable.com. We use the word, we teach people, our clients, everybody, be uncopyable. All that stuff. If you Google, you know how it is. Like if you do a Google search, you're lucky if the term you're searching stays on the first page. You're lucky if it's on the first page, right? If you go in and Google Steve Miller or K Miller and uncopyable, it goes 10 pages. In Google. So so for us, when I found that word uncopyable, I just said, that's it. We have to own that word. And so everywhere, for many years now, we've been pushing that over and over again. And we just teach people. We use that to teach people. My clients, and it's totally fine with me. I have clients who, you go to their website, they are promising their customers that they will be uncopyable. And I'm completely, let's do that, folks. Go ahead, use Steve's word. You have my permission. So
yeah. Well, clearly, when you're uncopyable, that means you no longer really need to sell on price, for sure, because your competition is not really a competition.
Who wants to sell on price? Why do you want to sell on price?
Not me, my friend.
Yeah. I loved it when my clients would refer me to somebody else, and they would say, okay, there's two things you need to know about Steve. He is edgy. Okay. So he will not hold back. Okay. And two, he's expensive, but you got to hire him, and I'll tell you what, when they would say stuff like that, I had a client one time say to another, future client, he said, Steve should come with a disclaimer, and, and she says, because he is not going to mince words. Right. So it's stuff like that, what are people saying about you when you're not around? That's your personal brand.
Gotcha. So in a world where everything and everyone seems to focus on selling, how does creating an uncopyable personal brand redefine success for sales professionals?
Again, it goes back to in sales, we are rarely known for the product we sell. We are known for what else is around it. Okay. The things like, what are our promises to them about the deliverability of the product, the quality of the product, is it going to do what you say it's going to do, and everything like that. This is all based on you. Okay. And it's not even based on your company. It's based on you. And whether even today, the companies still don't, if you have independent salespeople who are out, calling on behalf of you, okay, they are the ones who own the relationship with the client. The company does not own the relationship with the client, and that's why that's why salespeople can ultimately be so valuable that they can get hired away. Now, but don't go getting crazy on me, by saying you just bounce from company to company or something like that. But when you find a company who stands for something that is different, that is uncopyable, and you put that together with a salesperson who also is personally uncopyable, man, that's a killer combination.
Yeah, I often say that the same thing that you just did. People buy from people, not really companies. Now, look, if you're Apple or Nike, yes, you're buying from a company. But before I opened my own consultancy 20 years ago, I was working for a very well-known sales training firm. But when I was out representing that firm, they weren't buying this guy. his programs. They were buying Jeff and my ability to deliver his programs. It almost always comes down to that personal relationship. Do you have any stories that demonstrate a real world application of your strategies?
Since we're talking about personal branding, I'll stick with a personal brand story. In Houston, there's a guy named Jim McInvale who is actually pretty famous. He is best known as Mattress Mac, and he owns 3 furniture stores in Houston. And and I don't remember the name of the hurricane several years ago that just really devastated Houston. And he went on live Facebook and he made an announcement. He said, look, he says, if you've been displaced from your home, if you have been, if you don't know where to go, come to one of our stores. You can sleep on our beds. You can, if they're full, you can sleep on our mattresses. You can sleep on our couches. You can, we will feed you. We will, if you need clothing, we will clothe you. Okay. He became an absolute rock star in Houston. Okay. And something that Kay and I love to do is when we find rock stars like that, that do cool things, we send them a gift box from us with all our books and everything like that. And we just go, hey, you know what? We just think you are really cool. And here's a little token of what we think about you, right? Okay. Well, a couple years later, Jim was at a Houston Astros baseball game, opening game of the season. All right. And he's sitting there. And while he's sitting there, out come running the Houston Astros baseball players in bright orange uniforms. And Jim sat there and he thought, Steve Miller.
Brilliant.
He called me the next morning and hired me to consult for them.
Wow.
On the spot.
Love that. Love that. So what kind of a mindset shift do we have to do to go from being forgettable to uncopyable?
Being forgettable. Well, what kind of a mind shift? It is a mind shift. You have to now be ready to be different. Being different is hard for a lot of people.
We tend to want to fit in.
I'm sorry?
We tend to want to fit in.
We do. We kind of tend to commoditize ourselves, and we look like people that we hang out with, we dress like people, we talk like them, everything like that. In order to create a personal brand, you have to willing to break some rules. And rules again, things like the marketing gunslinger thing, right? For me, I'm not going to be called CEO. Because guess what? Everybody else is called CEO that runs their businesses. Okay. And if you saw my title is Kelly's Dad, Marketing Gunslinger. And what this does is that is a very important part of my personal branding, is that I am sending 2 very strong, actually multiple messages. First message is I'm Kelly's dad. All right. That's the first message. That's who I am. That's what I stand for. My daughter, my family, stuff like that. That clearly sends the message that that's what's number 1. Marketing gunslinger is number 2. And what that says is he's willing to call himself something different that is, kind of stupid. If you get right down to it, it's like, why would you call it stupid? It's kind of dumb. I was being interviewed by the Wall Street Journal one time, and they said, "What's your title?" I said, "Kelly's Dad, Marketing Gunslinger." And they said, "Oh, okay, we'll put CEO." And I said, "Then there is no interview." And they're like, "What?" I said, "Well, no, you don't want to be in the Wall Street Journal." I said, "Not by your rules. I don't want to be in the Wall Street." I said, "If you want to," I'm talking about, branding and separating yourself from the competition, and you want to force me to blend in by using the term CEO. And I said, "I'm not going to do that." And so, reluctantly, all these companies that interviewed me would end up doing that. That's the reason why I use a term like Marketing Gunslinger.
Yeah. And it clearly works, because every time I look at your LinkedIn profile and I see Kelly's dad, I'm like, isn't that cool? Clearly, here's a man who loves his daughter like I love my kids. It's just brilliant. A great way to stand out. Here's something I want to know, and I see there's a picture right behind you. What does knowing your moose mean?
And this is one of the biggest things to our clients. Again, it goes back to terminology, perception, being different, that type of stuff. We all heard, oh yeah, you got to know your target market. You got to know your target market. Well, what the hell does that mean? You know, and you know, we came up with the concept of the way to know your target market. Here's how to know your target market: is that if you were a hunter in and you wanted to hunt moose, would you go to Florida? And the answer is
no.
Nope, not to Florida. Okay, I'd probably go to Canada.
That's what I was thinking.
You know, go to Canada. I'd find some big forest in Canada, big forest that is underdeveloped, you know, and it's filled with moose. That's right. That's what you would do. So you got to go to where the moose are. All right. Number two is that there are lots of other animals in the forest. You know, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and beavers and fish and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And you could get confused. You could be going in there and thinking, oh, I'm looking for moose. Oh, look, there's a deer. Let me shoot the deer. No, you're hunting moose. Okay. That's what you're hunting. You're hunting moose. Pay no attention to any of the other animals in the forest. And then, of course, you need to have moose bait. Only moose give a crap about the bait. Only moose, you can only bring moose down with a moose gun. So everything has to be right for the moose, and you stop paying attention to all the other animals in the forest. So, and yes, if you say to somebody, "Oh, you got to focus on your target market," I mean, that's what that is all about. But from a picture in your brain perspective, our clients love the concept of hunting moose, because then when they get into conversations with their clients, with their companies, things like that, and they start talking about marketing and everything like that, they're very comfortable and accustomed to the first question out of their mouth is, "Who's your moose?" Okay. And once you ask that question, everything is focused on the moose. Every following conversation, follow-up question, everything stays focused on the moose. So it's a real clear picture for people, and it's one of the most powerful tools that our clients talk about all the time. This picture back here was sent to me from a client. They had that drawn and designed, you know, and they call it a moose cast. You know, it's based on, you know, on podcasting, and that's it. Of course, it's an orange moose.
Love it. And that's why I tell salespeople, you know, you have to create an ICP, an ideal client profile, which sounds like that's your moose. It's who are my best clients? Who do I really want to work? Like, I have a bunch of criteria for who I'll work with and who I won't.
Yeah.
And I don't think most salespeople do. That they're happy to get anything. I only want to work with people who value what I do and who I believe I can help, and that they see that
that's
too.
Right. And just let the other ones go.
I don't need everyone. I just need enough people who like what I do and who I want to work with.
That's right.
What advice do you have for salespeople who may not be able to invest in working with you? What can they do on their own to become uncopyable, especially if they don't consider themselves creative?
Well, obviously the big thing is look. We have 4 books that are all on the uncopyable theme, and you know, our first one, Uncopyable. The second one was called Stealing Genius. Well, Stealing Genius is based on one of the chapters of Uncopyable, where do you come up with new ideas, and how do you come up with new ideas? Well, we call it Stealing Genius. It's not rocket scientists. It's not something that we totally designed and created on our own, but it's based on the fact that a lot of creative ideas have come from unrelated concepts. Simple one is the Velcro. Okay, Velcro that you know, everybody uses now. Everybody uses Velcro. Well, it came from nature. You know, a guy in Germany, like back in 1940 or something like that, was walking through the forest with his dog, and he got back and he found all these burrs stuck to his socks. Okay, and he started, and at that, and then he goes, wait a minute, what can I, and that came, he came up with the hook and something system.
Loop.
Anyway,
hook and loop.
Hook and loop system. Thank you very much. Yeah, and he started the company Velcro that it still exists, right? And that's where it came from nature, and so the idea is that, and there's a much longer story that I tell in my book about how I learned it, but that's exactly right. Caterpillar, for example, when I was working with them outside of Chicago, I wanted to teach them about stealing genius. And so what I did was we got a bus, and I took everybody. We drove into downtown Chicago, and then and I did not tell them where I was taking them. Okay, and we pulled up in front of the American Girl store, and I said, okay, we're going inside the American Girl store, and you guys are going to study marketing. And I mean, that was like, you talk about a revolution that almost started inside the bus. And they, we finally forced them all to get off and go inside and study the hair salon, the hospital, the storyline, the stories, everything like that. It took me almost 4 hours to get those guys out of the store.
Wow.
Because they were taking so many notes. And and the point being that you are not going to get a new idea from looking at your competition. You're just going to copy and try to do something a little bit better, that's what being in the box is all about. You're in a box, and your box is every competitor, client, trade magazine, trade show. They're all in that box. And so you're all just staring at each other. The only way to be creative is to get out and go jump into some other box, and then take those ideas and take them back over here. And guess what? They're brand new.
Gotcha. That's great. Yeah. For those who may not be familiar, I am, because I have two daughters. The American Girl doll store was these incredibly expensive dolls that you had to buy the outfits and all the other stuff. And you never walked out of there spending just a little bit of money, but they loved them. And it was brilliant branding.
Oh, the first time I went there with Kelly and Kay, I found out why they have couches all over the place. The couches are for dad and brothers and grandpa.
So you wrote 30 years ago, our tiny startup had a horrible client, but they represented almost 60% of our revenue. After putting up with them for too long, we finally bit the bullet and fired them. I swore we would never go through that again. I'm a big fan of firing clients instead of working with people who aren't right for you. I think it's a waste of your time and theirs. And when you fired that client, you developed some rules for working with you, and you say the rules are non-negotiable. What rules and values are we talking about?
Yeah, and they're not, they're not crazy rules. They're the types of rules that everybody would want to just say, well, yeah, of course we live by these rules. Well, but if you don't state them, and you don't just put a stake in the sand that says, look, we live by these, and you have to, so we have rules like rule of family. Rule of family is, like I said, Kelly's dad. All right. That, our family, and we state if you go to our website, beuncopyable.com, and look for the rules, you will find the page. Okay. And in there, it says rule of family. And what we say is, okay, our family is more important than you, and your family is more important than we are. If you have to choose between us and your family, always choose your family. Always
100%.
choose. Yeah, 100%. Okay. Other things like rule of mutual respect. Mutual respect. Simple thing is like, okay, if you call me and leave me a voicemail, you are expecting me to return that call in a timely fashion. Yep. Okay. Same works the other direction. Okay, the other direction, and stuff like rule of travel. I'll
definitely talk about that one. I loved it.
Yeah, rule of travel is, see, when COVID finally hit and Kay decided that Steve was going to stop traveling like a maniac, I had at that time 6 million frequent flyer miles. No, I don't know anybody who has 6 million. What a moron I was for doing that. And and so because of that, we had to finally say, hey, look, when I travel, I fly first class. That's it. And that's not an ego thing. It's that you know how many hours I spend in the year to accumulate 6 million miles. That's a lot. That's a lot. And when I'm getting off that airplane, very often I'm getting off and going to a meeting, or even if it's overnight. So what? I am rested. I feel stronger. I feel better, and all that, and all of that. And so, and of course, the joke for us is that Kay doesn't have 6 million miles, right? And so when I started really cutting way back on my stuff, I said to all our clients, I said, you can hire Kay, and she doesn't care if she flies coach. I don't know why she does that, but she loves getting on an airplane, and she doesn't care if it's coach or, when she's with me, she's like, oh yeah, I love that first class stuff, but she doesn't care. So I always say to people, I say, hire Kay.
I laughed my ass off when I read that. You go on and on about how I only fly first class, otherwise I'm not coming. And then the next line is, hire Kay, she'll fly coach.
Yeah.
Just terrific. Look, one of my rules, and I have many like you do, is you're going to pay me exactly what I asked for. We're not doing business. I don't negotiate my fee. Here's what I charge. If you don't like it, let me introduce you to somebody who works cheaper.
Yeah, it's yeah. That's our phrase is always we can introduce you to cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have competitors right here on Long Island who I respect, and we're friendly competitors. We wish each other well, and we've all referred each other. Both of them work less expensively than I do, and I'm always happy to make a referral. You don't want to pay my fee? Let me introduce you to my friends. Right. They're very good at what they do. They're not me, but they're very good at what they do.
I love it. I love it, Jeff.
That's what I like about what I do. There's lots of people who do sales training. There's lots of sales coaches and outsourced sales managers. But if you want me, I'm the only one who can do that for you. A while back, you also posted that the problem is that most companies only look at their deliverable being different, when in fact, there are many, many other ways to be uncopyable beyond just product or service differentiation. What are some of the ways we might not think of?
Well, the deliverable is just the product, kids. And today, because of, like I say, commoditization of technology and things like that, we're down to stuff like, oh, we'll make it yellow. It'll be different from everybody else, and they'll buy because it's yellow. No. You've got to show these people that there's more behind your company than just a product. And the salespeople, like we talked about, how salespeople separate themselves. Well, companies should look for weight, and the big word to use is experience. Okay, we've been teaching the idea of and experience goes far beyond just saying customer service. The experience is that literally everything walks the talk. If you say to somebody, okay, we will be the best experience you've ever had, we're going to, if you, like some clients of mine, we'll have like a special phone number or a special email address that once they've signed up, this is their personal phone number. This is their email. And when that phone number rings, the fire department is coming. Okay. Everything, all hands on deck. It's all, everybody's rocking and rolling and that type of stuff. It's not that they're in line. They're in the queue with everybody else. Okay. So we're looking for, and you said, staying in touch with people and looking for, going beyond having, I always tell people, gosh, why not have fun? We have rule of fun is one of our rules. Okay,
that's one of my rules too. If you're not going to be fun to work with, I'm not interested.
We'll fire you. We will fire you. And and we've fired more than that one company, that we refer to. But same thing with our clients. We say, like one of our clients has builds work trucks, and they build fleets and stuff like that. Well, for fun, one of the things that we did was because of AI and because of what we can do nowadays, we now have, and I talked about pictures of people. Well, what we did as a gift to all the clients last year for the holidays is that we had trucks, work trucks, posted a picture of a work truck, but we had the client's picture was across the back, as if it had been painted onto the work truck, and then the name of our company and that's and then that was framed and sent out to everybody. Well, guess what? Guess what's on everybody's walls? So you're looking for stuff like that, and again, the best way to come up with these new ideas is, like I commented earlier, is go out and study alien experiences. If you are Caterpillar, go to the American Girl store. Go to Starbucks. Go to an amusement park. Go to Disney. Go and go and look at what they're doing, but look at it from a perspective of, how can I steal that concept? How can I steal that and take that over here so that I can create an experience that people enjoy, this has value to them, that is and when you start to develop experiences, it's difficult for the competition, to copy, because once you get known for that, for doing this type of stuff, you've kind of locked out the competition, and so they can't just go and say, oh, well, we're going to go copy what they're doing. No, you can't do it. You can't get away with it.
Yeah. I think many, if not most people, know Universal, but everybody knows Disney. They create, and I've been there with my kids. They do create an amazingly incredible experience. And I want to talk about something you mentioned a few moments ago, and Disney is brilliant at this, by the way, customer service. So, so often salespeople want to differentiate by saying, well, we give great customer service. And I'm actually working with a client right now. They're a payroll company. It's not ADP or Paychex. They're not huge. These are guys who want to be ADP and Paychex. And we're looking for a differentiator. And in this particular company, customer service really is the differentiator. But the challenge is when you say, oh, the thing that makes us different or the thing that makes us better is our incredible customer service, everybody goes, yeah, sure. Because if you think about it in your own life where you're the customer, all your vendors probably say, yeah, we give great customer service, but almost nobody does. So when you use customer service as a differentiator, it goes in one ear and out the other. So what can you do when customer service is the actual differentiator?
Well, and it kind of goes back to some of the stuff that I've already touched on in Stealing Genius, right? So when I still remember this. I was working with an oil and gas company one time. They said the same thing. We have the best customer service. How do we prove that we have the best customer service? We want to be, and then they said something that I just started laughing. They said, we want to be known as the Nordstrom of oil and gas. And I said, okay, here's a simple question. Define that. What does Nordstrom do?
They'll take anything back forever, with or without a receipt.
They will take anything back with, forever, with or without a receipt, right? Okay, so you start there. And I said, that means you have to be willing to give a 100% guarantee. And they go, well, we can't do that. I said, well, then you will never be the Nordstrom of oil and gas. Okay. See, again, this is it's not just the actions. It's go. If you think somebody is great at customer service, ask yourself the question, what do they do? Because they're in a different industry. What do they do? I'll give you another example. Okay. Do you know that in as far as I know, I've studied this over and over again. I've asked questions, and I've been given the same answer all the time, and it's this: how many words are on the walls of an Apple store?
How many words are on the walls of an Apple store?
How many words?
I don't know. None.
Nobody knows. There are only 2 words on the walls of the Apple stores. Genius bar. Okay. Other than Apple, the word Apple, Genius bar are the only 2 words up there. Okay. We know exactly where the Genius bar is. And what is the Genius bar?
Technicians.
Customer service. That's all it is. So what did Apple do? They came up with their own terminology for the phrase customer service.
Brilliant. Never thought of it that way. Brilliant.
That's right. So
if you had said, what's the Genius bar, Jeff, I immediately would have said, oh, it's the guys in the back of Apple who take care of your stuff.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, yeah, that's what the technicians at every company are: customer service. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah. And we keep calling ourselves customer service. Come up with your own term. Come up with your own phrase. Build your own. We had no idea that we were too stupid to order coffee until Starbucks taught us how to order coffee by teaching us a new language. So number one is, if you want to be the best customer service, go study aliens who you think provide great customer service, and then ask yourself, what are they doing? If we really want to deliver customer service, if you really want to do that, you have to do things that are very difficult to do.
Correct. And I can think of 2 examples, which I'm not going to waste the audience's time with the stories, but a company called Hello Direct, which sells telephones and
telephone headsets and stuff like that, right?
And Zappos for shoes.
Zappos.
I've had personal experience with both those companies. And what they did was, there was no condition at all. Oh, you're unhappy? We're taking it back. You're unhappy? We're giving you your money.
I'll give you a customer service example from Zappos that they told me, because I took my clients to Zappos to steal genius. We went to Vegas and we traveled in and we spent an entire day at Zappos. Okay, what is the longest customer service phone call in history at Zappos?
Not a clue.
How long is it?
Don't know.
15 hours.
Wow.
Zappos does not have a limit on how long their customer service people can stay on the call,
or what they can do. They can give away anything,
and they've got up to a few $1,000s that they can do to take care of. But the point being was that when you think about it, okay, so they can give away a couple of thousand. All right, 15 hours. Turned out this person was having a life crisis, and they were really connected with this person they were talking to, at Zappos. And I mean, it never intended to be that way. Okay. But that's how it turned out. And in the course of that, they took care of this person. They found help for them, everything like that. That is customers off the charts customer service.
Yep. The founder, I think his name is Tony Hsiu. In his book, I believe he says, we're not a shoe company. We're a customer service company that happens to sell shoes.
He passed away several years ago from a fire. He says, we're not a shoe company. We're a customer service company.
That happens to sell shoes.
Happens to sell shoes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Exactly. Hey, in one of your posts, you mentioned enjoying a book called 100 Things to Do After Retirement. You said you've already done like 26 of them. What are some of the things that you've done that, even though you're not retired, that you do after retirement?
It's been a while since I wrote that, but and I started thinking, okay, a few of the things. Number one is I was able to attend TED.
Attend what?
I was able to attend TED.
Oh, yeah.
The real conference. Okay. Just being an attendee is an amazing accomplishment when you're not super famous or super wealthy or something like that, and it became a joke for me because, I said the reason I got invited to TED was because they thought I was the rock star, but but I met a lot of rock stars. Okay. And then I also, because
Steve,
of my,
let's explain to people who aren't our age. Steve Miller was a famous musician.
Yeah, there's a guy named Steve Miller, who has Steve Miller Band. They actually still tour a lot.
Yep.
And they were just recently in Seattle, So
Ted thought you were a rock star.
Yeah, so they thought I was a rock star, but and then because I was there and I got to know the owner of TED. I actually ended up being on the main stage at TED. And that is a story in itself because I was one of the very first videos ever done, and, for TED. And I'm the only video that was actually removed from the TED because my story was about golf. And my title was How to Think Like Tiger Woods. And Chris Anderson, who owns TED, he thought that was a fabulous idea. So I got in there. I gave a great talk. It was 12 minutes, had a blast. Cameron Diaz sat 10 feet in front of me. I didn't see anybody else. And everything went great. But then a few months later, Tiger had this, what do you call it? Scandal.
Which one? But okay.
Yeah. But the big one with his wife where,
yeah.
So they removed the video. So, but if you go into TED and you search a little bit into TED, you can find people who talk about and publications that wrote about my video. So anyway, TED was doing that. I learned how to fly a hot air balloon. I got involved with teaching local high school kids about life. Preparing for life beyond just school and stuff like that. I got to play golf at the #1 golf course on the planet, Pine Valley. That it's actually not possible to get on. Stuff like that I've been able to start to check off my list.
I was expecting to hear skydiving or swimming with whales or something like that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. I did do skydiving and I didn't put that on my list here because once.
I've done it twice. Every time you land, it's like, thank God. That was amazing.
I know. It's like, whew.
Yeah. So what are some of the 11 uncommon marketing techniques that our competition knows nothing about?
Some are simple. Tools. One that almost nobody thinks really knows about is that shock and awe that I was talking about. Is that if it boils down into this: how much is a new client worth to you, and how much are you willing to pay a prospect to make a solid connection with people? And the question I will ask somebody is, I will say, okay, if I guaranteed you 20% return on your money, how much money would you give me?
All of it.
All of it. You would go borrow money.
Sure. If you guarantee it, absolutely.
Right? So if you are selling a product that is $10,000, like some speakers and consultants are $10,000, right? Or something like that. Would you be willing to spend $500? The answer is sure. Of course I would. Right. So shock and awe packages, you can create a shock and awe box, that you put stuff inside. And I'm not just saying trinkets and, and junk stuff, pens, and I'm talking about real stuff. You can put stuff in there and create that when they open it up, they go, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you can put and you can have a message in there with it and stuff. Shock and awe. All of our clients use shock and awe very, very successfully. Just simple tools that you can use without spending a ton of money. Like I was thinking, I've got 3 online tools that I use that almost nobody knows about. One is actually the Library of Congress Ask a Librarian website. If you have a question, librarians know the answer. But they know it in ways that Google and ChatGPT don't know it. You know, they bring the human part into it. So I love using Ask a Librarian because they will often come up with ideas too that, you know, AI does not come up with. There's a web there is a website, a thesaurus website that I use almost every day called Word Hippo. And it's the coolest thesaurus website. I've actually got, you know, fallen into that thing and spent way too much time playing with Word Hippo because it comes up with the coolest words, you know, that I can use, uncommon words, you know, and it's wonderful. There's a tool. If you want to research a target market, oddly enough, in the B2B community, which is the one that we primarily spend our time in, Reddit is a great place to go in and find prospects, find out what problems people are having, what conversations they're having, and how many people there are, and also to capture prospect contact information. But if you go into Reddit, and oddly enough, so many people in the B2B world, they don't even really, they may have heard of Reddit, but they don't really go and play with it, when the fact is Reddit is enormous. But there is a tool called Gummy Search. Gummy, Gummy search, Gummy Search. In Gummy Search, you can tell Gummy Search to go in and study Reddit. And Gummy Search can find, and it says, okay, personal branding. Go into personal branding on Gummy Search, and there is a Reddit, a subreddit that is about personal branding. But then Gummy Search goes in, and Gummy Search finds, and it'll say, okay, here are the problems they're talking. Here are the biggest problems they're talking about in this subreddit. Here's the most common topics they're talking about recently. So you can study and learn a lot about those people, and then it'll also go and it'll collect their contact information.
Love those ideas. You know, I one of the other things, I love the shock and awe idea.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think is also incredibly useful is, you know, pay attention to what your clients and prospects are saying. I once did an interview with a gentleman, you know, right here, and I must have been telling him the story about, you know, when I went to Chicago to the Snacks and Sweets Expo with a client of mine, and that I spent a lot of time.
I built that show.
No kidding.
I love that show.
I love that show.
With the National Confectioners Association.
Yeah, I spent a long time at the Jelly Belly exhibit because I love Jelly Bellies. And a couple of days after the interview, I get a box, and it's beautifully gift wrapped, you know, just a bunch of Jelly Bellies. Now, don't you think I'm going to remember this guy forever? Because he listened to me, and he felt what I said was important enough to send me something. It's a great way to stand out. I hate to say this, but we're actually out of time.
But I got to finish. I got to very quickly respond to that.
Go ahead.
Guess who taught Jelly Belly how to do that?
Was his name Steve Miller?
His name was Steve Miller, because I helped build that trade show from scratch and consulted for most of the big companies in there, and Jelly Belly was one of our big ones. So
yeah, I've worked a lot of trade shows, but by all, that was my favorite. Absolutely.
Oh, of course. My gosh, are you kidding?
Steve, I'm going to share my screen right now. Would you tell people, because this will be turned into a podcast, some people are watching live, but would you tell people how to reach you if they want to?
If they want to reach me, you know, I already shared that our website is beuncopyable.com. All you have to do is reach out to Steve at beuncopyable.com. I will answer any question. Don't worry about it. There's no cash register ringing or anything like that. And can I mention our 5-day course?
Please do.
We have a free 5-day personal branding course that Kay and I put together. And if you go to beuncopyable.com/5, the number 5 dash emails, you can sign up for that for free, and it'll kickstart and get you going right away. And of course, we would always recommend getting our books on Amazon. I would, start with Uncopyable You, and then work your way up from there.
Fantastic. And
I appreciate being invited to come here, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And you're the first interview that's ever put my logo on your details. So I appreciate that. Well, Steve, we are out of time. So, thank you for sharing your genius so brilliantly and so generously with us. And I'll end as I always do, gang. Please remember that sales is a game of making things happen. Get out there and make sales happen. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much.